Hi, this is Olivia, and this is what deviance means to me. What deviance means to me is someone who breaks away from the mold and does the opposite of what society thinks is normal, kind of like going against social control, which is, going against what society has put in people's minds of what's normal. So my examples of deviant acts would be someone walking around the mall naked, someone stealing items instead of purchasing them, somebody going over the speed limit and zigzagging through lines, because as social norms tell us that when you go to the mall, you have to be fully clothed. You can't be stealing things. You have to purchase them, or else you'll go to jail or like get stopped by security. The same thing with driving over the speed limit and zigzagging through lines. You still have to obey, the speed limit, or else you'll get pulled over. A social norm that I violated was being so inebriated I couldn't remember some of the things I did or said. It happened a lot during in my early 20s. Definitely after I turned 21, that's when I was able to drink. That's when I was really drinking and going out more with friends or people who I wanted to be my friend. And that was just the environment. It was very normal to keep drinking, and you couldn't babysit your drink. You had to keep going. You had to stay out all night. Like you couldn't just show up. You couldn't show up early, and you couldn't show up late, super late. Or if you were, you had to like be doing stuff. And after a while, I would just drink to. After a while, I noticed I was starting to be blacking out, and I couldn't remember a lot of things I did or say. But it also kind of felt very normal because that's just how everybody was that I was with. You had to just keep going. And then it was definitely around maybe 21, 22, 23, maybe towards the end of 24. I would just drink just to black out basically because that's just how like I felt like I had to keep going, and I felt kind of tired of being around my friends, and also just how I felt at the time. It just felt like, I wanted to be a blur and that I didn't care. And um and so some of the responses to my deviance, some of the sanctions. So some of the negative ones would be that even though everyone that I was with was doing the same things, it was just when I did it, when I, when I think when people noticed I was doing it a lot, it really upset them. But not in like, yeah, it just upset them that, that I was doing that. So they would give me dirty looks, or they would kind of shun me in a way. Like they would talk down to me, or they would kind of like, I don't know, they would just do things that would just let me know that they weren't happy with me, even though, the next night, like I wouldn't go out, but they would go out and do the same thing, like black out, and then come home and tell me about it. So it's kind of like, okay, if they did it, and then there's also other people who would tell me, like, oh, they were just as faded, and that, like, it's normal. So kind of, to me, it felt borderline normal to be doing that as heavily as I was, because that's what everybody around me was doing. So it just felt normal, and it felt like the way, like, if you were having a bad day, that's how you're supposed to respond to it, by drinking a bottle or something. Or if something came up that I didn't want to remember, that's like how I would use to cure it. So before I would gauge in that deviant behavior, I just thought people who drank too much just did it to do it. Like, like they basically did it because they were bored, and that they knew what they were doing when they were doing that. But during my deviant behavior, when I did it, I realized that a lot of what I was doing was just because I was really sad and depressed, and also mixed with being around my environment that I was around, the people who I was around, it felt very peer pressure from them that I had to do that, and that it was normal, and it felt really difficult to break away from it. And even now, it's still when I go out, even now when I go out, sometimes it feels really difficult because that's still like how the vibe I'm still feeling, is that you still have to drink a lot and you still have to keep going because that's normal. But afterwards, and now I just feel disappointed that it got so bad, but it gave me a way better understanding as to why other people have problems with substance abuse as well as emotional problems, and how a lot of what happens is really like how your environment you're around and the people who shape you, and the opportunities you have, like all that like goes into it. and also how you respond to how you feel to things that happened in your past or things that didn't go right. And so some of the reflections and lessons that I learned was to try not to give in to peer pressure, not to overly drink or drink when I'm really upset or sad, because I know that it's bad, clearly. And that also, a lot of times when I would drink, it would kill my stomach the next day, my body. So it taught me to, like, you have to respect your body. And there's also, I could have gotten into way more trouble. Like a lot of them have DUIs and they ruined a lot of their situations. And then unfortunately, there's a lot that I also know that came with sexual assault, or, they woke up, they remember parts of it, or, they came to. So, I was really lucky that a lot of times when I blacked out, I just like, yeah, I would just black out and then I'd have somebody take me home. So it wasn't like, I could have gotten in trouble, but it didn't happen, thankfully. And that's my sources.